Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing the power of story selling. Yes, you had that right. I know oftentimes I will say storytelling, but today we're going to talk about story selling. It's one and the same, but I like the little verbiage a little bit. It gives it a little, you know what I mean? And so I'm always thinking of YouTube ideas and what I can talk to you guys about in regards to entrepreneurship. And this was one of the things that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. Recently, I was watching a podcast and the interviewer, he was interviewing a young man who has an apparel line, and his apparel line is called Grind in Silence. And he was asking him about why he created the brand, what's the vision behind it. It's actually on the Social Proof podcast. If you're familiar with David Shands, Sleep is for Suckers, I love that podcast. That is one of the podcasts that I grew up on, if you will. I remember when I first discovered Social Proof back in 2020, I would binge watch it, and then sometimes here and there I would catch the episodes. So if you want to know exactly what podcast I'm referring to, then that is it. Y'all can go back and reference it and see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. But nonetheless, so like I said, David Shands was interviewing the entrepreneur. He asked him what his business about, and he stumbled so bad. And we are watching Monday Night Quarterbacking, watching him and picking the interview apart, but I think that he had a lot of anxiety about being on camera and maybe just stumbled on his words a bit. But there are some people who just really don't even have a story for their brand, and if you're an entrepreneur, that is an issue. You should be able to go back to the place that you were in when you decided to create your business and talk about that. But you know what? I think that there is a group of people who just start in businesses just because they see a lot of people posting their Shopify screenshots, their Stand Store screenshots, and they just want to get in it because they want to make money, right? And so I can see why somebody like that wouldn't have an origin story for their business. But then again, at the end of the day, it's like, even if you see people making money, wouldn't you resort back to something that you're passionate about? I mean, at least that's my thought process. But my short tenure with coaching, I realizing that is not what people are doing. People are evading their purpose. They're dumping off their passions off to the side and just chasing what they see everyone else doing, because they think that the reason why it's working is because it's the industry or it's the specific niche. So the reason why it's working is because they're actually passionate about it. They are called to it. I always tell people that if you want to know what your purpose is, go back to God. Okay? Because at the end of the day, what it is that He have you do to serve His people, it has to give glory back to Him. What I know to be true is that God will give you purpose, and He will bless your path if you are following in the footsteps that He's telling you to go. Now, if you go create a business that's not in line with what He has for you, you may be wasting your time, your money, and your energy. So this is why I always tell people to get back to what you're passionate about. Figure out what it is that God has for you and how you can monetize your passions, your stories, your experience, and actually bring value to the marketplace. But nonetheless, so back to story selling. I know I kind of digressed a little bit. Let's go back to story selling. I remember when I was selling physical products, my sister and I, we would do a bunch of pop-up shops. If y'all watch any of my videos, y'all heard me talk about this before, right? And I remember I would see people in real time, their energy changes when I was talking about the reason why I created the brand, okay? And I had an athleisure wear brand, and we had hoodies, t-shirts, bomber jackets, joggers, what else? Dad caps, right? So it was an urban, athleisure brand, urban wear, street apparel, and so that's what our niche was, right? But the name of it was called Plenty Forbes, okay? And it was about rags to riches. That was the whole thing of it, right? From pennies to plenty, from public housing to private jets. So that was the theme behind it. So it was from Flint to Forbes. So if you don't know about Flint is a very little small impoverished city, and it's crime ridden. I grew up in Flint. That's where I was born and raised in. We used to have a very rich culture. That's when, GM was in, General Motors was in Flint. And so that used to be a thriving neighborhood. And then GM took their money, they took the industries and sent them across seas and left a lot of people jobless. And, the city just went down here from there. We had the water crisis, what have you, gun violence, black on black crime. Bad educational school system, the same old unfortunate story of a lot of urban cities in America, right? And so when I was creating my businesses, I'm like, okay, I want to make it to the Forbes list. At that point, I wanted to do, 30 under 30 or the 40 under 40. That was my goal, okay? And like I said, it was about me creating this apparel line, and then through entrepreneurship, I will go back into the Flint school districts and teach kids also how to create businesses and start getting them started on entrepreneurship early while they're in middle school, right? Elementary, middle school, junior high. So that was my goal, and to show them how that they can create businesses and start creating wealth for their family, that they didn't necessarily have to take the traditional route if that's not what God was calling them to do. And so whenever we would go, do the pop-up shops, a lot of people would be like, what's Flint to Forbes? What does that mean? And it gave me the perfect, it was like the perfect segue. And I would literally just tell them what my vision was. And before, they'd be like, oh, okay, that's cute. They'd see the outfits, the clothing on the rack or on the tables at the pop-up shop. They'd be like, oh, okay, that's cute. But literally, when they would ask me what it meant, and I would tell them my whole vision for what I wanted to do for this, my foresight, in regards to this entrepreneur endeavor, they was like, oh, wow, I love that. And then they would too maybe have some type of interest that would align with what I was talking about. I mean, me and my sisters, we had so many goals and still do. It going to be in a different capacity, right? What I know to be true is that even what you see for your purpose right now may be too small. God is going to take that even higher, but that's another conversation for another day. But their face will light up, their energy would change. They would be more intrigued. They would want to buy. They would buy more. And I didn't even know what I was doing at that point. In hindsight, I knew what I was doing is considered story selling, but I didn't create an origin story for the purpose of selling. However, this origin story helped me sell. So this is the power of story selling. A lot of y'all really don't have a story. Your story is, I seen a girl on TikTok and she made a whole bunch of money. I seen a girl on YouTube, on Instagram, and she got a pink Barbie car. And now I want to start selling bundles because she sell bundles, and I'm thinking that the reason why she's successful is because it's the actual product, when it's not really the product. That's her passion. That is the lane that God has called her to. Once you understand the psychology of sales and that people make purchases for emotional decisions and they justify it logically, you will understand how just having the origin story or really having a vision, a mission behind your business and being able to articulate it to your target audience, how it will help you sell more. Now, don't just, use this to be manipulative. Be genuine. People can feel when you are disingenuous. Actually be genuine about it. And like I said, I didn't even know what it is that I was doing when I did it. But in real time, I would see their energy shifts, their face light up. And they would be like, oh my God, I love that. Give me your business card, right? Even if they may not have purchased something, they would literally take my business information and they would say, hey, I'm going to link with you and purchase later on, okay? And so this is the power of getting people to see your vision, getting people to see what it is that you're doing, and bring them along for the journey. So this is your homework for today. This is the business coach in me, okay, y'all? Excuse me. But this is your homework for today. I want you to actually sit down and get vulnerable about why you're creating the business. Figure out your why. Forget the figure out your why, because people why be sounding the same, okay? The why be sounding the same. Yes, you have kids. You want to provide for your kids. You want to have generational wealth. That is very surface level. At this point in time, I'm going to be honest, go a little deeper. People is tired of the same old. That's everybody's story. I want you to go deeper. Go deeper. Be very vulnerable of why you're creating this business. Figure out why you cannot not win. It is your responsibility to be successful. When you understand that this is a responsibility, when you put on that badge of honor, hey, it is my responsibility to get us out the trenches. It's my responsibility to change my financial trajectory. It's my responsibilities to make it better for my unborn kids. You will show up for your business differently. You will have a different energy about your business. Y'all, I love this. I love this because I know that this is my purpose. I know that God has called me to serve his children in this way. And this is why I speak directly to faith-based entrepreneurs, because if you don't believe in a higher power and that he has a purpose for you in life, I don't really know how you have a why that's strong enough to even continue going, because entrepreneurship is rough. If you don't know your purpose, if you're not connected to God, if he's not constantly filling your cup, listen, it's so many days where I don't make money. And it's so many days, it's like, wow, Lord, this is the money I made in a day. I used to get paid in 2 weeks. And this is why my faith is never shaken, not even because of the monetary blessings, but because I know that this is what I'm called to do. When you understand that this is your calling, when you really have an origin story, when you are really able to show up and tell people why you started this, why God sent you here to do this, it will resonate so much better because you're actually genuine about it though. They're going to see it through the facade. Don't put on a facade. People are sniffing out the fakes left and right. But when you have a real hunger for entrepreneurship, a real desire to serve entrepreneurs at a high level, I don't care if you're selling lip gloss. When you decide that you're going to make the best lip gloss that was ever gloss on a pair of lips ever, when you obsess over that desire, when you decide, hey, I'm going to make all my products organically because I don't want all these chemicals inside of your body when you trying to get glammed up, whatever your niche is. When you go into it with an obsession to solve your customers' problems, to solve your clients' problems, when you have a genuine desire of curiosity to really figure out what makes a business work and what doesn't make a business work, when you are really genuine on the reason why you started it and you are able to articulate it, I'm telling you, it will 10x your business. I'm kind of going off on the railroads because I really believe in this, and I'm telling y'all that it works. If you are a beginner entrepreneur, summertime is great for pop-up shops. You should really get out there and have your product and speak to your customers and get that in-person feedback. It's very hard to get that via social media, okay? But whenever you are in person, or maybe you even have live events, take the feedback. Pay attention to how they react when you say certain things. This is the curiosity part, okay? People are just going at business, but they're not paying attention to their customer. They're not paying attention to the feedback. They're not paying attention to how people's energy shifts when they're marketing their business, or when they're talking about the reason why they started the business, or their goals for going into the future. I hope that makes sense. Like I said, your homework for today is to just get real and vulnerable. Sit with yourself for about 30 minutes. I want you to talk about the real reason why you started your business. I don't want to hear nothing about money. I don't even want you to say nothing about generational wealth. I want you to get back to like the core of it. I don't want nothing surface level. Money is the byproduct of entrepreneurship. I want to figure out the real, like your real core values, what you really seeing for this business, what you want to do to help others, and figure out how you can use that to tell people how you plan to change your lives and your business. Master the art of story selling, and I promise you, marketing won't even feel like marketing, because your goal is to really serve people. It's not necessarily to make a transaction. When you focus on transformation, money follows. But when you first focus on the money evades, okay? Money runs. It takes off. So I hope that y'all got something from this video. If y'all have any questions, let me know down below in the chat. Again, you guys, and I will see y'all on the next one.